Okay, well, I guess it's close enough for 10 o'clock that we can get started. And I would like to welcome everyone here. Those of you that were around 4 years ago remember that this event was held during the pandemic. And it was a much different experience because the room was limited to just the participants of the Electoral College. And we had the appropriate spacing in effect. And so I'm really happy that things are back to normal. One thing about this process is that there are a lot of moving parts, so I'm going to be looking at my notes frequently. And I just want to start off by giving a brief description of what this day really is, because I think the general public doesn't have a great understanding of what we're actually doing today. And what we are actually doing is, this is the formal vote for President and Vice President of the United States. And each state is assigned a number of electors. New Hampshire has 4, and that number is based on the size of our congressional delegation. So we have 2 congresspersons and we have 2 senators. So we have 4 electoral votes as a result of that. This setting would be much different in California, where there are many members of Congress, and so it's a much larger group. But this one is fairly intimate, which is really nice. Every state capital in the country right now is going through this process. New Hampshire is one of the earliest because we're in the Eastern time zone, but as the day gets older, more and more of these events will have occurred, and the votes will have been cast for president. The role of the voter in New Hampshire and the other states is that when they go to the polling place on election day for the general election, and they receive their ballot, they make a choice for who they want to be served, who they want to have serve as their president of the United States. And the winner of the popular vote in New Hampshire wins the 4 electoral votes. And so the representatives here represent those 4 electoral votes for the Democratic Party, which was the party that won the popular vote in New Hampshire. The electors are chosen by the state party convention. So when the Democratic Party had its state convention, you were chosen to serve as the electors for your party. And you were bound to vote for the nominee of the party in which you participate. Today, you are actually selected when the voter chooses the presidential nominee. So in this case, Kamala Harris. But 50 years ago and before, the electors' names were actually on the ballot. And there were different variations of that, but at one point in time, each elector actually got individual votes, and you competed for that privilege. So today is a little bit different in the look and feel, but the bottom line is the same. You are the ones that will actually cast the New Hampshire votes for President of the United States. I will add that this is the 28th time that this vote has occurred in this room. Governor Sununu has presided over 2 of them, and your father did as well.
Yeah, but I know better than
They differ. So before I get into the real introductions, Governor, I'd like to invite you to say a few words.
Sure. Well, look, it's great to see everybody here. As this Secretary of State mentioned, it's great to have everybody actually here, unlike 2020, which is the right way to do it. I mean, it really is. This is a process where so many individuals stand up. New Hampshire's a very different state when it comes to this process, and I always say we do it a little bit different and a hell of a lot better than everybody else, because it starts with the most representative body of government in the world, right? 400 House members for only 1.4 million people. The fact that anybody can kind of run for everything, and always maintaining one of the highest voter turnouts in the country, massive participation from the school board meetings and school board elections all the way up to the kind of a bit of the antithesis, which is today, accumulating in the actual electoral college process. Kind of the tip of the spear, if you will. This is what it's all about. This is all those pieces put together, why we maintain the first in the nation primary, why we maintain our place as a national leader in terms of both voter engagement, voter participation, forcing our candidates through the ringers, and rightly so, and that's why we always have very close and hotly contested elections, and it always comes out in a way that at the end of the day, everyone says, okay, there's a winner, there's a loser. The job is the job, right? We all get together and find a way, whether it's on the state level, local level, or at the national level, to make things work. And there's always work to do, to be sure. But a huge thanks. I want to take the moment before I sit down and just thank Secretary Scanlon, his entire team. Phenomenal job. I mean, really a phenomenal job, because national elections, especially in a state like New Hampshire, have a lot of scrutiny and a lot of spotlights. And there's a lot of things that could, quote unquote, go wrong. There's a lot of concerns that the citizens may have, but when they have those concerns, they're addressed. And they're mostly addressed by the thousands, and this is the really big thank you, the thousands of volunteers. The volunteers that really drive our elections, our friends, our family, our neighbors, our folks at the school, the town leaders, whatever it is, they're all volunteering their time, by and large, to make sure that this process is open and transparent and accessible, and everyone gets to vote. And when the votes come in, we can count them, we get accurate numbers, we shake hands at the end of the day, and we move on. It really, really is an amazing model, given the times that we're in. A lot of states are very envious. I talk to a lot of governors all the time. They say, how do you guys do that? How do you guys do that? And I always come back to, it's not because we passed just a law, it's not just because the governor or the Secretary of State says so, it's because at the very local level, it really, really works. Everybody takes their role and responsibility very, very seriously. We have winners, we have losers, but at the end of the day, the process stands strong. The institution of our vote, especially here in New Hampshire, stands very, very strong. And I think when we poll, I don't know the latest data, but Secretary Scanlon, you and I, and Bill Gardner used to brag all the time, when you ask the people of this state, do you have faith in the integrity of your vote and the system? I think one of our numbers came back at like 99% of the folks surveyed said yes. We don't always get the result we want, but we know it's the right result. It's the result that the people voted for. That's awesome. That really is. So a big hats off and a thank you to all the individuals that actually make that happen. And congratulations to you guys, and for being part, again, of something that isn't just today. This is a very, very historic process. So thank you guys for being part of it.
That's great. Thank you, Governor. So before we get started with the introductions, I'd like to recognize Executive Counselor Cindy Wormington is with us. Counselor-elect Leo Hill is also with us. I saw the Democratic Party Chair, Raymond Buckley, is here today. And I'm sure there are other dignitaries in the room. I apologize for not announcing that by name. We will move on and now introduce the electors. So sitting at the far end of the table is Ava Castillo from Manchester. And Carla Manchaputi from Nashua. Jackie Witherspoon from Exeter. And Jerry Cannon from Somersworth. And I also want to recognize Kaylee Dion, who's my assistant secretary. She's going to keep me straight in this process. She's the one that really knows what's going on here. So with that, we're going to have the Pledge of Allegiance, and I would like to recognize Amanda Martinez of Nashua, or Exeter, to lead us in that. Whenever you're ready, Amanda.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
And with that, remain standing, please, and we will ask Councilor-elect Leo Hill to sing the national anthem.
Won't you please join me in singing the national anthem?
Oh, stay and you see, by the dawn's early light, once so proudly we hailed, at the twilight's last gleaming, whose broad stripes and bright stars through the perilous tides o'er the ramparts we watched were so gallantly streaming, and the rocket's red glare, the bombs bursting in air, paid proof through the night that our flag was still there. Oh, say does that star-spangled banner yet wave o'er the land of the free and the home of the brave.
Okay, so next up is the roll call of the electors. Just answer here when I call your name. Jerry Cannon,
Here.
Jacqueline Weatherspoon,
Here.
Lava Mangiafuti,
Here.
and Eva Castillo.
Here.
Okay, all the electors being present, we will move to the oath of office. I would ask you to all stand, please. The electors. This is a three-part oath, so I will start with an oath to support the Constitution of the United States, if you would raise your right hand. And repeat after me. I state your name.
I, Jerry Cannon,
Do solemnly swear
do solemnly swear
that I will support the Constitution of the United States,
that I will support the Constitution of the United States,
so help me God.
so help me God.
Next is the oath of allegiance. I state your name.
I, Jerry Cannon,
Do solemnly swear
do solemnly swear
that I will bear faith and true allegiance
that I will bear faith and true allegiance
to the state of New Hampshire
to the state of New Hampshire,
and will support the Constitution thereof,
and will support the Constitution thereof,
so help me God.
so help me God.
And now the oath of office as elector. I state your name.
I, Jackie Weatherspoon,
Do solemnly and sincerely swear
do solemnly and sincerely swear
that I will faithfully and impartially
that I will faithfully and impartially
discharge and perform
discharge and perform
all the duties incumbent on me
all the duties incumbent on me
as an elector of President and Vice President
as an elector of President and Vice President
of the United States,
of the United States,
according to the best of my abilities,
according to the best of my abilities,
agreeably to the rules and regulations
agreeable to the rules and regulations
of the Constitution
of the Constitution
and the laws of the state of New Hampshire.
and the laws of the state of New Hampshire.
So help me God.
So help me God.
Congratulations. You can be seated now. Thank you. Okay, let me catch up. Okay, Okay, so the first order of business is for the electors to elect a temporary president. So with that, I would accept the nomination.
I move to make Honorable Jackie Weatherspoon as temporary president of the.
And I second.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Congratulations, Jackie, you are temporary president. And I will now turn this over to you for the purpose of electing the officers of the elected college.
Thank you very much, sir. Thank you, everyone. I'm putting a motion now to elect.
Is there a motion? I make a motion.
Thank you. Is there a motion to elect the president of the electors?
I make a motion to elect Honorable Jackie Weatherspoon as the president of Electors.
And is there a second?
I second that motion.
All those in favor of President Weatherspoon, say aye.
Aye.
Thank you. Is there a motion to elect the doorkeeper?
I make a motion to elect Honorable Jerry Cannon to the doorkeeper.
Is there a second?
I second.
All those in favor of the Honorable Jerry Cannon to be doorkeeper, say aye.
Aye.
Is there a motion to elect the teller?
I nominate Latha Mandrapudi as the teller.
Is there a second?
I second.
All those in favor of the Honorable Latha Mandrapudi for teller, say aye.
Aye.
Is there a motion to elect the secretary?
I make a motion to elect Commissioner Eva Costello for the secretary.
Is there a second?
I second that motion.
All those in favor of Commissioner Castillo for secretary, say aye.
Aye.
Okay, well, congratulations to all of you. And as is tradition, each of the electors has the opportunity to make a few remarks. I'm going to start with the president. Whoever
We'll keep the order up.
let's keep things on track.
I'm Jerry Cannon. A pleasure to be here. I grew up in a world where people conformed to what we believed was normal for men and women. Boys were expected to grow into strong men and fathers. Girls were expected to grow into creative women, homemakers, and have children. In reality, the human condition is much more complex. Some men love other men. Some women love other women. Some girls grow up to be strong men, and some boys, like myself, grow up to be beautiful, intelligent women. Our world is not a perfect place. We are all unique with different strengths, weaknesses, and skills. When I was a teenager, I knew I was different. I kept my secret safe in a closet. I didn't open that closet door until I learned there were more people like me. I didn't know what would happen to me or how people would react. We live in a state where our motto is live free or die. I decided to find out if it really is. It would be 15 years later, that was actually 7 years ago, when I decided to run for state office. My community elected me to the state legislature. I became one of the first transgender Americans to be elected to a state office. I thought this was the highlight of my career. But today I stand with 3 other leaders of their respective communities. It is my honor and a privilege to be able to represent New Hampshire's voters, and especially my LGBTQ brothers and sisters, to cast votes for Kamala Harris for president and Tim Walz for vice president. 2 people who understand that our differences make our United States strong. Thank you for this great honor.
Okay, Elector Castillo.
Well, first I want to say community, the new American citizens to your office and taking the time and the trouble to translate all those informations that should have been translated a long time ago. I really appreciate that. You know, I'm really happy today. Who would have thought that the girl that used to go on vacation in New Hampshire and moved here in the 80s was going to be afforded this honor. You know, this is where my bones are gonna be buried. I settled my family here, but I'm still the other. As I reflect on the words with the pledge that we just said, it says one nation, indivisible. But are we indivisible? No, we're divided. We have been divided by many years of hatred, many years of intolerance, many years of fighting. We have focused so much on what makes us different, who we love, what language we speak, what color we are, what religion we profess, that we've lost sight of our commonality, our common humanity. And we're injured now. It's gonna take a while to really make that pledge not an aspiration, but a reality. And we're gonna have to start working very hard to make sure that we begin accepting each other for that God-given right of dignity. And that's the only way that we're going to make this a reality for all, by all working together, making this really the country that it should be. That, you know, make the Pledge of Allegiance not a statement, but an actual action. So I am really representing my vote today for Kamala Harris and Tim Walz because they represent my values. And as a proud Latina, I'm just one of the leaders, but there are many other Latino leaders that will continue to fight hard and to make New Hampshire a welcoming state, because we need to belong also. And mis amigos que están allá atrás, los aprecio tantísimo. Muchísimas gracias por su apoyo y por seguir adelante, porque la pelea apenas está comenzando y la lucha continúa. Nothing changes without struggle, but we're here to keep struggling to make New Hampshire the welcoming state that it should be, and this nation the greatest nation on earth. Thank you all.
Thank you, Secretary of State. Namaste to all of you. I am humbled and honored to be sitting here as an electorate. Who thought 40 years ago when I came to this country that I would be here representing New Hampshire as the first Indian American to be elected to office, a woman, a brown, and a first generation immigrant to be doing this in New Hampshire. And it's an honor and privilege to have served as a school board member in Nashua, and then for 12 years as a state rep here in New Hampshire. And this is the country of immigrants, and I am proud to represent that the dream still lives on, but we have to make the dream a reality. So it's the moment for us, and I'm proud to cast my vote to Vice President Kamala Harris and Governor Tim Walz for President and Vice President. And before, I want to thank my family that has stood behind me, my husband, and the most recent addition, a proud addition, a special guest to my family is my grandson, Santosh Krugipudi, out there. Dear buddy, I want to make sure we leave a nice legacy for you to see that your Bapi stood and fought for the right justice. And
And thank you, all of you, for being here. And thank you, Raymond Buckley, for really putting a lot of thought into selecting the electorate. I never thought I would have this moment. If somebody talked to me 40 years ago, or you would be in politics, I would have laughed in their face and said, I'm here to get my PhD and go back to India. But somebody caught me just as I landed and proposed, and we ran. Thank you.
Okay, Jackie Weatherspoon.
Yes. My husband dragged me here 37 years ago. And I said, oh no, another white town. Because that's where prep schools are. But I was embraced the moment I walked into town by the former police chief, Kathy Gilmore, and then by the League of Women Voters, and then by the League of Craftsmen Voters. And then I knew I was hooked, because I was in a town, and there's a woman that's here today, and of all people, I want her to stand up. It's Carol Waters. Where's Carol? Carol has to get her cane. Here she is. The KKK reared his ugly head, and he was selling guns out of his house. And he was a police dispatcher in the next town. Carol, her daughter, her son, and all of the high school kids in Exeter said, we will not have that hate here. These are the people that I love. They stood up. I have the most people here today. Because it's my town and the surrounding towns. From Newfields to Danville, to the teacher who ran the adult ed program, Leslie's here, to my minister, to the New Hampshire Reconciliation Commission is here. Because when I was the sponsor of the Martin Luther King Day bill, the church also stood with me. Bishop Buddha has passed away, but every week, he would stand with his mitre outside of the State House with me to say, we need to pass this holiday. It was the church, it was my community that welcomed me. And then there's Kevin Fleming, who is here. He just retired as a teacher from Winnicott High School. Kevin? Kevin said, Jackie, please run. I'm like, okay, I don't know exactly what that means. And I did, and he says, don't worry, we have your back. And Kevin has been with me and the town, his wife Susan, for so many campaigns. And it's the local people, like the governor said. It's your neighbors. It's those that you work with. It's all the students here. One student, she just got her acceptance to college yesterday. And she came to me and said, Ms. Weatherspoon, I got into my favorite school. And she's going to DC. So I just want to thank you all for this honor, for the honor of working on the Harris campaign. My husband, who's here, of course, he was with me as we partied last week at Blair House to thank her. She did a miracle. That was only 107 days. And what did she pull off? She pulled off joy. She pulled us together as a country. She pulled in hope. She did not make it across the finish line. But from the Pettus Bridge to New Hampshire, we will continue to overcome. We will continue not only to have that dream, but we are the dream. And that's the joy that I have, because I have learned, and I want every person that follows me, we have to be at the table, because if not, we have learned we are on the menu. Let me say that again. We have to be at the table. Otherwise, we are on the menu. And I am so proud of my town, my kids, who 10 grandkids later, those kids left New Hampshire a long time ago. They're proud of me, and I'm proud and thankful for my husband of 51 years.
Amen.
That we have taken this journey together. What does New Hampshire mean to me? It means that voice where I can be at the table. And I thank you all for this honor. Amen.
Amen.
Well, thank all of you for those heartfelt remarks and your convictions and your willingness to participate in this incredible process. Now we will move on to the actual voting process. So the way this is going to work is that you will make a motion to go into executive session, and then Kaylee has the ballots that she will pass out to you. You will mark your choice on the ballot. You'll receive 2 ballots, one for president and one for vice president. You will mark those ballots and turn them into the teller, so the teller can count those votes up, and then inform the chair of the Electoral College of the results, which the chair will then announce. And then, once that's complete, we will go to the official paperwork part of the process. So does somebody want to make a motion to go into executive session?
I make a motion to enter executive session.
Second?
I'll second.
All in favor? Aye? Once they're completed, once you pass them to the teller. After you count the votes, inform the chair, who will then announce the Electoral College vote.
Loud or just?
No.
No, loud, okay. Madam Chair, Madam President, I have the honor of counting the votes for President-elect United States, Vice President Kamala Harris of Los Angeles, California, has 4 electoral votes. Madam President, now I counted the votes for Vice President-elect of the United States, Governor Tim Walz of St. Paul, Minnesota. All 4 electoral votes goes to Tim Walz.
Okay, now that that is done, we will pass out the certificate of vote. Each of you will sign each one of the copies will be passed out, and Kaylee will oversee that process.
we take a picture of this?
Oh, of course. Where's Anna, are you here?
Am I here?
Need to take some pictures?
Yes, I will send it to all of you.
While they're finishing the signing, this is the certificate of vote that took place today. This will be placed in an envelope with the ascertainment of election, which shows the results of the popular vote on the day of the election. And then copies of these official documents will be sent to the President of the Senate. One set will be sent to the Chief Judge of the United States District Court here in Concord. Two sets will go to the Secretary of State's office, and one of those will be available for public inspection. And then 2 sets will be sent to the National Archivist in Washington, D.C.
I'm taking my time.
Enjoy this moment.
Savoring the moment. autographs. I feel like a movie star. I'm just thinking, who's gonna ask for my hand?
Okay, now, these documents are, the federal government has required that there are security measures that are in place with these documents. So the more recent process for that is using special paper that has watermarks on it that shows that these are original copies. But this next part is kind of a fun historical part where we are going to apply a wax seal to the seal on the envelope. And to change the process up a little bit, make it fun for all of you and to speed the process up, we're going to have each of you take a stick of wax and place the wax over the seal. I've put a quarter on each of these plates because the wax on a seal should be at least the diameter of the quarter and larger than that. And then once that's done, I'm going to ask the governor if he would actually place the seal on each of the wax droppings when you're ready. So.
Governor, where's the nearest fire extinguisher?
It's a good question. Trying to find the other one.
I'll take you on, and then you want to turn it almost upside down, and then drop the wax that's over the flag.
I'm making an art by you. My grandson will be very happy to do this with me, right?
Keep it warm. It's kind of
The payment, I don't know.
I know, it's a small whip to start off with.
Good. A little more. Solid seal.
Jerry has the oldest stick of wax.
Oh, boy. It's great, it's great.
Okay, and then once that's done, if you run a photo out, you can hold them up with the seal. The doorkeeper is responsible for taking the envelope to the district court judge. And then we will be responsible for shipping to Washington DC. And of course, the ones that remain in the Secretary of State's office, that's the easy part. Just hang on to those. So, thank all of you for coming, and thank all of you for participating in this amazing process.